You've reached the Narrow Way Podcast. Leave a message after the beep.
When was the last time you heard a sermon on not only the gate, but the way? He says, there is one gate, but after that gate there is a narrow way. There is no way to come through this narrow gate except you strip down and strip away all self-sufficiency and all self-righteousness, and you humble yourself and you come as a little child into the kingdom of heaven, and it is a narrow gate whereby you can only come.
You're listening to the Narrow Way Podcast.
All I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. My two front teeth. See my two front teeth. Gee, if I could only have my two front teeth, then I could wish you Merry Christmas. It seems so long since I could say Mr. Susie Pitten on the phone.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Narrow Way Podcast. Thank you for clicking in and joining us today. Don't forget, like us on Twitter or follow us on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube, and you'll make sure and get everything emailed to you weekly in your inbox. And if you don't like that, email us and it's the old email address, and it's nonamepod noname1 at gmail.com. So if you got all that, make sure write it down. If not, rewind it and do it again. But that way you can always have access to what we're talking to you about like we do today, because this is a very important and very special podcast that I hope everybody pays attention to. If you don't have a piece of paper, a notebook, a napkin, something to write this on, please get one, because I am going to give you my Christmas list. I'm going to tell you exactly what I want for Christmas, and no, it's not real estate, and no, it's not world peace. It's something very doable, something in everyone's price range, in everyone's budget. They can make this work. Send it to me. If you need my address, make sure and give me an email, and I'll be happy to provide that with you so you can send my present my way. Present number 1. I've always wanted to collect dolls. Most of you, if not any of you, knew that about me. But I've always wanted to collect dolls, and just like they're selling on eBay now, you can get a one-of-a-kind Barbie doll complete with a hijab. It's the thing that Muslim women wear. It's a headscarf. Now Barbie is creating one of those. They've created a Muslim Barbie doll. And the goal in mind, the Barbie company said, is we're trying to inspire women and girls everywhere. Doesn't that sound magical? Trying to inspire women and girls everywhere to break boundaries and support Islam. So that's number 1 on my list. It'd be so cool to have something one of a kind, wouldn't it? Something that your friends don't have. Your Christian friends probably wouldn't have that. Anyway, that's present number 1. Present number 2 on my Christmas list. I can't give you the title because there's profanity in it. But I'm sure if you would Google Aaron James, you would find a book that is talking about, how should I put this? Jerks. People you would rather not socialize with, associate with. You can buy this book for $19.95, and they've probably got a payment plan for that too, for the people who are maxing out credit cards already. And it says on the back cover of this book, on the dust sleeve, that, do they even put dust sleeves on books anymore? Because nobody reads them, everybody just downloads them, and you don't need a dust sleeve for your iPhone. But at any rate, it says on the back cover, and I don't know if that's a dust sleeve or not, but it says that there are 3 things that jerks possess and do, and there are 3 qualifications in order to call yourself a jerk, and it's a self-help book for jerks. Number 1, they give themselves special privileges. Number 2, they always feel entitled. And number 3, they ignore the reactions their actions provoke. Well, I'll tell you what, if you can't find that, just buy me a Bible, because I'm sure the Bible would have, some sort of advice in there to help you with behavior modification and not acting like a jerk. So if you can't find the Aaron James book, just send me a Bible. That might be better. Number 3 might be my favorite. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave number 3 for last because that's the big one. So now the new number 3, present number 3. I want you to go to theevolutionstore.com and I want you to look through all of the cool and nifty and groovy stuff that, as their website says, encourages science. And at theevolutionstore.com, there is a poster that you can hang on a wall, because what else would you do with a poster? You hang it on the wall, and it shows all of the different sedimentary deposits and layers that, as we all know, they got there one of two ways. For the scientists who believe in science, because all science is true and infallible. No, wait, that's the word of God. Never mind. But at any rate, these sedimentary layers, they got there one of two ways. One, option number 1, behind door number 1. They got there over millions of years, slowly but surely, with destruction and wind and different types of erosion, and that's why all these sedimentary layers were deposited, and that's why they look so pretty. It looks like books stacked on top of each other. So you can get me a poster of sedimentary layers, and that way, every time I look at it, I can try to talk myself out of them being laid down by the flood in a matter of 40 days to 2 years in between there. And I can try to talk myself out of that, because it doesn't make any sense at all why, if it took millions of years for those sedimentary layers to be deposited like that, how come there are trees growing through the middle of them? How come there are animals sticking up through perhaps 3 different layers? Why did that happen if it took millions of years? You know, millions of years pass, and usually things do not stay the same. Usually trees do not grow for millions of years, even back in the bad old days. But I can think about that every time I look through. So that's present number 3. And present number 4, my personal favorite, for those big spenders out there. Would you buy me a trip? I've always wanted to see Ontario, Canada. So the big one, present number 4, I want you to take me and send me to Ontario, Canada, to the LGBTQQAAPP inclusiveness training. They have inclusiveness training for elementary teachers that apparently, due to lack of interest, they've opened up to the general public, and you can purchase your ticket. And for those of you wondering what LGBTQQAAPP inclusiveness training is, that is lesbian, gay, transgender, transqueer, bisexual, demisexual, transgender, transsexual, two-spirited, intersex, queer, questioning, asexual, allies. No, they were the ones that fought against Germany and won. It can't be allies. Pansexual and polymorous. Polymorous. I thought that's what a sea sponge was, because they have a whole bunch of. They have the Morrises that take the water in and hold the water, right? The polymorrises. At any rate, they've got the inclusiveness training seminar up in Ontario. And for the big spenders out there that really, really love me and know that Christmas is right around the corner, you could always buy me a plane ticket and a ticket to go in for the elementary school teacher seminar there. The inclusiveness training for the well, you know the rest. So you can always get me one of those. Hey, and if nothing rings a bell yet, I will have more right after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time, secular Christmas songs of all time, White Christmas, performed by the Drifters. I'll do that the rest of the day. That song gets in my head and it won't leave no matter how hard I push. The Drifters, what a cool song. I love that song. One of my favorite secular songs of the season. Now, I gave you 4 presents that you're more than welcome to send me in the first half of the program, but if nothing sounded good, if nothing pricked your ear yet, I have compiled yet a different list that you can send me. And don't forget, Narrowway Pod at Twitter and Narrowway Pod on YouTube. Make sure and follow, subscribe, like the videos, comment, share them. And if you want the show emailed to you every time it comes out, we send you the YouTube link so you don't have to go searching for it. You can email us and put that request in at Narrowway Pod, or no name podcast 1 at gmail.com, because we run a smooth program here. Now, for the next Christmas list, yet a different one. Something that you can give me, or perhaps another Christian that you know, or maybe just someone that you don't believe is a Christian. No fruit showing. Here are 4 different gifts that you can send them. And of course, you're always welcome to send them to me as well to preview. And if I like them, I'll make sure and tell you and not send it back. Present number 1. Get somebody a gospel t-shirt or ball cap or some sort of apparel. And I'm not talking about a WWJD bracelet because everybody wears those. But I'm talking about going, you can go on Facebook and they've got the gospel-centered t-shirts all over the place. All you have to do is look for them. Go to the World Wide Web and Google gospel t-shirts. There is no easier way to witness to somebody than wearing a gospel t-shirt. And I'm not talking about Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and all the other men. And boy, that was sexist. Wonder Woman, Catwoman. I'm not talking about all of them sitting around and having a little figurine of Jesus sitting around and telling them the story about how I saved the world. I've seen that t-shirt. I think that's too trite. Make sure it's not trite and trivial, but Active Faith, I believe, is the name of the company that does sports apparel for Christians. And they've got some excellent products and some really, really good products that would start conversations at the gym, or whether you're running or, something like that. Otherwise, there are t-shirts all over that have the gospel written on them in one way or another. And if somebody truly is searching, and maybe you're not the kind of person that's good at walking up to somebody and starting a conversation, they'll see your shirt and they're liable to start the conversation for you. They've got ball caps with the same thing. I think that's a great witnessing opportunity and a great tool to witness if you're not the kind of person that just can walk up to somebody and start a conversation. Because let's face it, there are very few of us that can do that with ease and with any sort of success rate at all. So gospel t-shirts and or ball caps. Present number 2. Something like, and it doesn't have to be this specific book, but I own this book personally, so you don't have to get this one for me. This one's free. But a book like this, if not this book, The Big Book of Christian Apologetics by Norman Geisler, by Norman G. This book is spectacular. Not only could you use it as a door stop, because it's that big, it has that much good stuff in it. But besides giving somebody, sharing the gospel with them, besides giving them that, the best gift you can ever give somebody is wisdom, because nobody else can take it away. And I'm not talking about knowledge. There's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. Knowledge is knowing what the square root of 193 is. Wisdom is more like common sense, more like spiritual common sense. And you get that by reading the Bible and studying the ways of God and being able to understand that and grasp that. And this book by Norman G. will really further that. The apologetics are so important. The way you use apologetics, it's key to a Christian life, because without that, you're at a loss. you have to be able to talk to postmodernists, humanists. You have to be able to talk to Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses. You have to be able to talk to these people because you have to know what you believe before you can tell them why they don't believe rightly. So giving somebody this book by Norman Geisler, not only would it further their knowledge, but it would also further their wisdom, and it would make their witnessing encounters better. It would make their Christian life stronger. So I would urge you, find a book like that, if not that book, The Case for Faith by Lee Strobel, The Case for God, The Case for a Creator, The Case for a Savior. They're all great books. Frank Turk has a great book, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. Now that's not fifth grade reading level. That's more junior high, if not high school level. But at either rate, they are still all fantastic books that somebody would be happy to see sitting under their tree and should put them to very good use. Present number 3. You know what? I'm going to put this at number 4 also. No, I'm going to put it at number 3. I'm going to leave it at number 3. Present number 3. How about a trip to the Ark Encounter? And I know that that's not possible for people living in California, or it's not practical, I should say. But the Ark Encounter in Tennessee, Kentucky-ish, because they all kind of run together anyway down there south of the Mason-Dixon. A trip to the Ark Encounter by Answers in Genesis. It's Ken Ham's organization. I have not been yet, that disclaimer aside. But they say it's spectacular. So that's a really, really cool, interesting Christmas present that you could give your Christian friends or family. And if you don't want to splurge for the extra $2,000 that it's going to cost for you to drive down there, stay the night, and drive back, how about just a subscription to Answers in Genesis magazine? It comes out monthly. It's got all kinds of good stuff in there. And it's even got like a kids section, and just interesting, very interesting. And I think something like that would probably be much better for you spiritually than, say, a prescription to Time magazine or some other liberal smut rag like that. Food for thought, Answers in Genesis magazine, or if you want to go all the way, a trip to the Ark Encounter. Number 4 is very important because nearly everyone can afford it, and nearly everyone can use another one. Most of you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But how about a Bible? How easy is it to go out and buy a $10 Bible? It doesn't have to be the one with all the study notes. It doesn't have to be the one with all the pop-up pictures. But just a simple Bible and hand it to somebody. You don't even have to know them. You can buy New Testament, pocket New Testaments for something like $3 to $5 a piece. Now, how much are you going to spend on your boyfriend, girlfriend, children? Are you going to spend $100, $200, $500? Think of how many Bibles you could get. You could get 20 pocket-sized New Testaments for $100. And you would really have to struggle to give them all away, I think, unless you stand out in the mall and hand them out. But then you'd get arrested and go to court, and you'd have to deal with freedom from religion and that nut job. So give somebody the Bible this year. And then tell them, everybody says read John first. I say read Mark because it's shorter. You can get through Mark just like that. And I know it's not quite as in-depth as John, but then you can send them to another place. I love it. I would much rather send somebody to read Mark and then say, now read the first 5 chapters of Revelation. Then go to 1st, 2nd, 3rd John. Then read 1st and 2nd Peter. And all the while, because they usually have them, pick out a proverb a day and read that also. Very, very, very good, practical, godly, spiritual gift. Buying somebody the Bible and giving that to them this Christmas. So, I will be sitting back and waiting for the emails to roll in asking for my shipping address, and I can't wait to receive all of these books. I'm especially looking forward to going to Ontario this year. I can't wait. I'm sure I could learn so much. If I go to Ontario and I turn out to be a completely different person next week, just remember, unlike me, who would go and get brainwashed by the LGGGDDBPTT, whatever, all of those people, remember, whether you're walking, running, or even crawling, keep walking that narrow way.